So far in the course, we've built a collection of 6 modal verbs. They are I want, I can, I need, I have to, I like, and I'm going to. And as we know, after these modal verbs, we can simply add on full verbs and we get a structure which is really easy to use and really fast. Now, with most of these, we only have 3 angles. What I mean by that is the angle of I, you, he, she, and it. So in this module, what I'd like to do is fill in the angles of 4 and 5. In other words, we're missing we and they. This is how it would all look completed onto one slide. Now, I'm sure some of you are saying, well, what about the angle of you all? And here is where we have a difference in Spanish between Latin America and Spain. So in Latin America, whatever you use for they, whatever form of the verb you use for they, can also be used for you all. It's understood in the context of the situation or the conversation as to which one you mean. However, in Spain, they do have a separate form for you all, which is referred to as vosotros. Now, this is where they would actually use a different ending on the verb to indicate that you are speaking to you plural, you all. Now, this is something that we'll cover later on in the course. For right now, I'd like to keep things as simple as possible and just stick to these 5 main angles of I, you, he, she, and it, we, and they. Let's begin with to want. So first of all, how would you say I want? Quiero. He, she, or it wants. Quiere. You want. Quieres. So now let's try for we want, and that would be queremos. Notice that we have that mos sound. So we want is queremos. Let's break it down. We have que, re, mos. So 3 syllables. Queremos. How would you say we want it? Lo queremos. We want it today. Lo queremos hoy. We want it tomorrow. It's important. Lo queremos mañana. Es importante. For they want, it's not that difficult because you already know the pattern. For example, what is he, she, or it wants? Quiere. And we know that to get they, we just add an N. So we would have quiere for he, she, or it wants. We add an N and we get quieren. So quieren is they want. Again, we have 3 syllables. So it would be qui, and quieren. How would you say they want it? Lo quieren. They don't want it. No lo quieren. They don't want it like that. No lo quieren así. They want it today because it's urgent. Lo quieren hoy porque es urgente. Let's take a look at what we have now all on one slide. For example, we have quiero for I want, quieres for you want, quiere, he, she, or it wants, queremos, we want, and quieren for they want. Notice that just as before with the other verbs, we have he, she, or it wants, quiere, and to get you want, we just added an S to that. So by adding an S, we get quieres for you want. Then for they, we again take quiere, but we just add an N, same as the other verbs, and we got they want. Notice as well how important the endings are, that you pronounce those endings clearly in order to be understood in Spanish. So you always want to make sure that the endings of your verbs are nice and clear. Don't accent or stress them, but just make sure that the vowel sounds are clear. So for example, quiero, quieres. It's important that you hear that S. Quieres, quiere, queremos, important this mos, queremos, and quieren, this N sound, is all that distinguishes they from he, she, and it, or you, right? So it's very important that they hear quieren. So how would you say you want? Quieres. We want. Queremos. I want. Quiero. They want. Quieren. And he, she, or it wants. Quiere. To be able to. That is I can, she can, we can, they can. So if you think about it, I can do it is saying the same thing as I am able to do it. So the full verb to be able to is poder. Poder ending in er. That's the full verb, the to version, the infinitive of can, but you wouldn't say to can, right? So it would be to be able to. Let's get started now. So we have I can. How would you say that? Puedo. He, she, or it can. Puede. And you can. Puedes. So let's move on now to we can. And this is a very nice word. It's nice and easy. It's podemos. Podemos, 3 syllables. Podemos means we can. How would you say we can do it? Podemos hacerlo. We can buy it for her today if you want. Podemos comprarlo para ella hoy, si quieres. Let's break this one down. So first of all, we have we can, podemos, and we can buy it, podemos comprarlo. For her is para ella. Then today, hoy, if you want, si quieres. Moving on to they can, we can follow the same pattern. So we have puede for he, she, and it can. Just add an N for they. So we get puede plus an N. How would you say that? Pueden. Pueden. So pueden is they can. How would you say they can do it? Pueden hacerlo. They can tell me. Pueden decirme. They can tell me later. Pueden decirme más tarde. They can't find it. No pueden encontrarlo. They can't go with me. No pueden ir conmigo. Let's go back to the very beginning now. And can you try to remember what the full verb was, to be able? What is the full infinitive for that? Poder. So we have poder ending in er. This is the verb for to be able. To be able to is poder. Let's try and use it now. So how would you say, I want to be able to do it? Quiero poder hacerlo. So we have quiero, I want. And then whatever follows that is the full verb, the infinitives. So we have I want quiero, to be able is poder. And then do it, hacerlo. Quiero poder hacerlo. Let's take a step back and see what we have now. So we have the full verb to be able to, poder. So I can, puedo. You can, puedes. He, she, or it can, puede. We can, podemos. They can, pueden. Notice the same pattern as before, where we have puede for he, she, and it, and we add an S to that for you, so it becomes puedes. And then to get they, we add an N, so we get pueden. Again, it's very important that your pronunciation at the end is clear. Puedo, puedes, puede, podemos, and pueden. How would you say you can? Puedes. They can. Pueden. I can. Puedo. He, she, or it can. Puede. We can. Podemos. Welcome to part 4. What is the verb to have? Tener. How would you say, I need to have it? Necesito tenerlo. I need to have it today. Necesito tenerlo hoy. Now, where it gets interesting is with to have to. We take tener and we add on que. So just tener on its own means to have, but tener que means to have to. Never try to see this as a literal translation, because as we know, que is used for what, or that in Spanish. Instead, simply accept the fact, group them together, that tener que will mean to have to. What is I have to? Tengo que. You have to. Tienes que. He, she, or it has to. Tiene que. Now we come to we have to, and we're going to see that mos sound come back. It would be tenemos que. How would you say we have to do it tomorrow? Tenemos que hacerlo mañana. What's the verb to find? Encontrar. We have to find it. Tenemos que encontrarlo. To express they have to, the sound is tienen que. How would you say they have to find it? Tienen que encontrarlo. They have to do it. Tienen que hacerlo. They have to be here. Tienen que estar aquí. They have to tell me. Tienen que decirme. Let's put it all on one slide now and run down the line. So we have tengo que, tienes que, tiene que, tenemos que, and tienen que. If we ignore the que, we can see that the same pattern is repeating. Taking tiene for he, she, and it, if we add an s, we get tienes, or an n, tienen. So the same principle is happening underneath, even though we have this extra que involved. Also remember that in a way, you're learning two verbs at once here, because if we took away que, then each one would simply mean I have, you have, he, she, it has, we have, and they have. But with the addition of que, then it transforms into I have to, you have to, he, she, it has to, we have to, and they have to. This time, let's try it on your own. What is I have to? Tengo que. You have to. Tienes que. He, she, it has to. Tiene que. We have to. Tenemos que. They have to. Tienen que. Let's continue with part 5. What is I need? Necesito. He, she, it needs. Necesita. You need. Necesitas. Now for we need, it's a little bit longer. There's more syllables involved. It's necesitamos. Slowing it down, it would be, let's count the syllables. Ne, se, si, tamos. Necesitamos. How would you say we need it? Lo necesitamos. We need it now. Lo necesitamos ahora. We don't need it. No lo necesitamos. We need to tell her. Necesitamos decirle. How would you say we need to tell them? Necesitamos decirles. For they need, it would be necesitan. Again, you can hear the N sound at the end for they. Necesitan. How would you say they need to do it today? Necesitan hacerlo hoy. They need to find it today. Necesitan encontrarlo hoy. They need to tell me today. Necesitan decirme hoy. Putting it all on one slide, we can run down the line. We have necesito, necesitas, necesita, necesitamos, necesitan. Let's run a little drill. What is it needs? Necesita. We need. Necesitamos. I need. Necesito. They need. Necesitan. You need. Necesitas. Let's finish with part 6. How do you say I like or I like it? Me gusta. Remember the mechanics of this verb, how it works. What we're literally saying is, to me, it is pleasing. That is why we have this double meaning of I like or I like it. Me gusta. What is you like? Te gusta. And you'll often contract it, so you'll hear te gusta. He, she, or it likes. Le gusta. Now for we like, again, it's very easy. It would be nos gusta. So the nos stands for to us. Nos gusta. To us, it is pleasing. Then we have they like, which again is easy. It would be les gusta. To them, it is pleasing. Les gusta. Let's see it all on one slide. We have me gusta, te gusta, le gusta, nos gusta, and les gusta. How would you say he doesn't like to dance? No le gusta bailar. To express with my friends would be con mis amigos. I like going out with my friends. Me gusta salir con mis amigos. Notice here I could also have said in English, I like to go out with my friends. So although we have two ways of saying it, I like to go out with my friends or I like going out with my friends, in Spanish they're both covered with this formula of me gusta plus the verb. So me gusta salir con mis amigos. How would you ask, do you like being with her? ¿Te gusta estar con ella? What about they like to eat here? Les gusta comer aquí. To them it is pleasing to eat here. Finally, how would you say we don't like it? No nos gusta.